everyone, my name is Molly. So for my job interview, I decided to interview a lawyer. Her name is Emily Glenn. She got her law degree from ASU about 4.5 years ago, and she was able to give me a little bit of insight into what her life has been like since becoming a lawyer, the steps that she took to get to where she is, and any issues I had concerning the profession. So also an additional background, I am getting my paralegal certificate from Phoenix College at the same time as getting my bachelor's degree from NAU. So I already have a little bit of insight into what it's like to be a paralegal, so that's kind of where I got a little bit of my angle from for this interview. So I was able to ask her a couple questions about the bar exam and like tips that she had for studying, but ultimately we focused on what her career is like now as a lawyer and what she does on a day-to-day basis. Most of it is research and interviews with clients. So that in and of itself, she said, was a pretty generic business day kind of job as far as time-wise. She works pretty normal 9 to 5s. However, she said when she is doing additional research for cases, she does find herself working about 12 to 15-hour days. Not too often, but on occasion. So that was one thing that she did kind of highlight during the interview, is that there are some long days. She also discussed the amount of stress that lawyers have in their jobs, mostly from timelines. She does have a pretty heavy caseload. She didn't tell me the exact number, but she told me it was a little over 20 right now, which is pretty high. And with that comes tight timelines, because obviously she has to do research and interviews and follow-up interviews for all of her cases. She does have, she said, 2.5 legal assistants working with her. Reason why it's half is because she kind of shares one with another lawyer at her firm. But she did say that sometimes they only help with initial startups, and they also do additional background. So most of the stuff that she does specifically in the courtroom, she does it herself. She also said that could just kind of be her personal preference, because she likes to be a little bit more in control with her cases, unlike other lawyers sometimes like to work with others and kind of delegate more tasks to their legal assistants or paralegals. Another thing she stressed when it came to becoming a lawyer was networking. She began networking before she even started applying for law school. She originally did get her bachelor's in biochemistry and realized that was not something she wanted to do and decided to change her career path. But before applying for law school, she applied to be a paralegal, since you only need a bachelor's degree and it doesn't necessarily have to be specific. It helps if it is, but so she was able to get a job at a law firm working with civil cases. So she was able to get some insight there, and she worked in that with that law firm until she graduated law school and passed the bar. So she said that helped tremendously with her education experience and gave her more insight into what she wanted to do, and more importantly, what she didn't want to do. She realized that she did not want to do civil law, since it can be a bit of a longer process. Sometimes civil law cases take years, versus most criminal cases don't take as long. So that was another thing for her why she decided to go into criminal. But she said networking, it was all about networking, whether it's getting a job, interviewing others, reaching out to other paralegals, other lawyers, people who work alongside lawyers. She said she even interviewed a police officer at one point to discuss things that lawyers do that can help police officers and kind of interrupt police officers when it comes to investigations and cases. So that was something really interesting that I found. I would have never thought about interviewing a police officer when it comes to being a lawyer, but she was very helpful with all of that networking tips. And then lastly, I did want to mention, she did kind of make a very funny point at the very end of our interview. She said that most people who say that they would become a good lawyer because they are a good arguer probably won't make the best lawyer. She said, instead, if you find yourself being able to read for hours on end, 5 to 6 days a week, taking brief but very critical and important notes, and being able to regurgitate that information back to a judge and continue to do so for 40 years, you will be an excellent lawyer and should definitely apply for law school. So that was definitely what I learned from Emily, and I'm very thankful for being able to interview her and all of the tips she was able to give me. So yeah, if you guys have any questions, let me know.